His name is Herr. That's right, Tommy Herr, a former foe, and he's the newest Met hero. Yesterday at Shea Stadium, Herr sent this here pitch over there for his first home run as a New Yorker. And later in the game, Herr helped preserve the Mets' lead, nailing Matt Williams at home as the Mets went on to win 6-5. Today, here at Shea, no, not there, here. The Mets meet the Giants next, right here on Channel 9. Live from Shea Stadium in New York. Today, the New York Mets take on the San Francisco Giants. Mets Baseball 90 is brought to you by Bud Dry, smooth taste, no aftertaste. By Nissan, building cars for people who want more than just a means of getting from here to there. Nissan, built for the human race. By Manufacturers Hanover, where your money has power. By Express Mail, next day service from the post office. By the New York Daily News, New York's hometown paper. By AT&T, the right choice. And by your Tri-State Lincoln Mercury dealers, featuring the Lincoln Town Car, Motor Trend's Car of the Year. Pitching for the Giants this afternoon, Paul McClellan, his first major league start, a 7-16 record with a 5.17 ERA at Phoenix. And for the Mets, David Cone, a 10-7 record, a 3.42 ERA.
With the Mets winning yesterday and the Pirates losing, the Mets in first place as of September 2nd, and the Mets 1.5 game up over Pittsburgh and 6.5 games up on the Montreal Expos. Cincinnati winning yesterday, the Dodgers and Giants losing. So Cincinnati leading by 6.5 over the Dodgers and 9.5 over the San Francisco. David Cone on the mound for the New York Mets. He has a record of 10-7. He's 1-0 against the Giants this year, an earned run average at 3.42. He's walked just 45 while striking out 179. He is second in the National League in strikeouts, and he has given up 139 hits in 163 innings.
The lineup for the Giants the same as yesterday, as Brett Butler, the center fielder, leads it off, followed by Mike Kingery, the right fielder. Will Clark, the fine first baseman, batting third. Kevin Mitchell, last year's most valuable player and this year's wealthiest player, batting fourth. Matt Williams at third base, hitting fifth. Terry Kennedy, the catcher, batting sixth, followed by Robbie Thompson, the second baseman. Jose Uribe, nursing a strained groin muscle. He's batting eighth. And Paul McClellan, his first major league start, he'll bat ninth.
And defensively for the Mets, Tim Tuffle at first base. Dave Maggott in a late scratch. He has a slightly pulled groin muscle. Tommy Herr in his second game for the Mets. At second base, Johnson playing shortstop. Jeffries at third. In the outfield, McReynolds, Boston, then Strawberry. And behind the plate is Charlie O'Brien, the newcomer from Milwaukee. The umpires for this game, Jerry Crawford calling the balls and strikes. Doug Harvey, the head of the crew, at first base, Dana DeMuth at second base, and Eric Gregg at third base.
Ralph, just a point before this game begins, think of the odds favoring the Mets. They're facing a young man, his first major league start, Paul McClellan, a guy who lost 14 of his last 16 decisions at Phoenix. And the Mets have going for them David Cone, who has 3 complete games under his belt and has been red hot. So the odds certainly favoring the Mets before this game starts, but you got to play them, don't you?
That's what makes horse races, I guess. You never know who's going to win, and baseball, one of the toughest things to predict. As the first pitch by Cone is a curveball for ball one. Brett Butler hitting .295. He has had 18 bunt base hits and 34 attempts, so he's hitting .529 when bunting. The Mets obviously guard against that, as they have the third baseman way in and the first baseman also in. 2 balls, no strikes to Butler. Butler also another way to get on. He can walk. And that is a strike, and it's 2-1.
Home plate umpire Jerry Crawford said he bunted through it. Butler said he took his bat back in time. Let's look at it. No, he bunted through it. I don't think he meant to, but he did.
He leads the National League in walks, tied with Bonds of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and that ball pitched a fastball too low, and it's 3-1. Butler with 76 walks. Kingery is on deck. New young ball player for the San Francisco Giants, and Butler walks, so the first batter of the ball game is on. There's Valera, who won his game yesterday, his first major league appearance, and he was the winning pitcher in the ball game. Pitched a fine ball game. Was helped out by Ojeda, Darling, and Franco, but he went 6 innings, gave up 3 runs on a total of 5 hits while striking out 3 and walking 3. Julio Valera, the new pitcher for the Mets, and in starting rotation. Now it's Mike Kingery, and he is hitting at .263 for the year. He has no home runs, 20 runs batted in. Against the Mets, he is 1 for 11 in his major league career. Butler a threat to steal, the runner at first base. And he draws a throw.
One thing Cone has to worry about is the balks. He has balked 4 times, and with a fast runner on base, he does have a tendency to come home too quickly without that pause.
But that's so-called complete stop at the bottom of the belt or near the belt. Butler with 37 stolen bases. Hands in his knees, he does not go, and the pitch is taken for a strike, and it's strike 1. David Cone with a record of 3-3 lifetime against San Francisco. And again, the first, that one fairly close as Doug Harvey makes the call. Charlie O'Brien, the new catcher for the Mets in the American League this year, threw out 40% of the base runners attempting to steal, a very fine average. And the pitch back to the plate inside, so Cone misses with a fastball, and the count 1-1. Cone has yet to find his rhythm and his location. David with 3 consecutive complete games. First pitcher for the Mets to do that since 1988. Another throw to first, again it's close. Doc Gooden in '88 had 4 consecutive complete games. David has won 3 of his last 5 game starts. And on August 18th, he set his career high for strikeouts with 13 against the Giants. And this pitch, a fastball fouled away. It's 1-2.
Those 13 strikeouts against San Francisco, that on the 18th of August, the most strikeouts against the Giants this season.
So David Cone, second in the league in strikeouts with 179. Working here with a runner at first and no one out as we just get underway here at Shea. Strikeout leader is Martinez of the Dodgers with 190. Again, the throw to first. One and 2 the count. Matt Williams, the third baseman, sitting down there as you took a look. This ball hit down the line. It's called a fair ball by Doug Harvey. It'll be extra bases. Strawberry out there to play it. Coming around third is Butler. He's on his way, and he will score. We're ruling a grounds rule double as the first base umpire, Doug Harvey, said a fan interfered with play, and Butler will have to go back to third.
I think what Roger Craig could argue here is if in the umpire's judgment Butler would have scored on that ball, had the fan not touched the ball, then he could award Butler home plate. Doug Harvey calls this ball a fair ball, and it indeed was a fair ball right over the bag. Good call by Harvey. Now, had the fan not touched that ball, could Butler have scored? He scored as it was. Strawberry completed the play. Hurd didn't, but Strawberry did. So Doug Harvey, that's that right hand over the left wrist. That's fan interference. But if they thought Butler could have scored, they could have awarded the Giants a run.
So runners at second and third for Will Clark, and he gets a curveball for ball 1. Clark hitting .286. 16 home runs, 78 runs batted in. Mets have their infield back, and that pitch a ball, and it's ball 2, and Cone struggling here in the first inning. A walk, a 2-base hit, now behind the count to Will Clark. Clark hitting .263 against David Cone in his career, and there is ball 3, and it's 3-0. Clark a much better hitter as a batter against left-hand pitching than he is against right-hand pitching this year. .322 against left-hand pitching, .258 against right-hand pitching. 3-0 the count. And Clark was hitting, but he takes for ball 4, and Cone in deep trouble. Bases loaded, no one out. And the batter coming up, Kevin Mitchell. So Cone under the gun here right away in the first inning. There you see one of the Cone heads in the stands.
A lonely Cone. And that's what David feels like right now. Lonely Cone in the middle of the infield.
So Kevin Mitchell, the batter, hitting .303 for the year with 31 home runs, 80 runs batted in, and he has a check swing and fouls the first pitch, a curveball off to the right side for strike 1. Mitchell with 1 home run against Cone in his major league career.
Tell you, no man is an island, but if David Cone were an island, what would he be? Coney Island. There he is, right in the middle. That's a Coney Island.
Where's the Ferris
right there?
Where's the roller coaster? Ground ball to the shortstop side, and it goes through for a base hit. 2 runs a score. Butler from third base and Kingery from second, and the Mets are down 2-0 as Cone just struggles away here. Second hit, second walk, and 2 runs are in with Matt Williams coming up.
That's normally a ball that Howard Johnson would suck up, but because he was cheating towards second base for the double play, it eludes him, and Kevin Mitchell drives in runs number 81 and 82 on the year. That leadoff walk really set the tone so far for this inning.
Cone has yet to find his command of his pitches. He misses with the curveballs. He works to Matt Williams. Williams 3 for 12 so far in this series. Hitting .275 with 27 home runs, 99 runs batted in. Tied for the league lead in RBIs with Joe Carter, the San Diego Padres. So the count now 1-1 as Cone picks up a strike. Williams hitting .385 against Cone, 5 for 13. And he's had 2 home runs off of him as Cone misses again, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Matt Williams, 7 home runs against the Mets in his short major league career, and his pitch is hit in the air to shallow left field, a base hit. Another run will score, broken bat base hit this time. Clark coming in to score from second base. Mitchell goes to second, and Matt Williams on with an RBI. He now has 100 RBIs for the year.
And that leads the National League, second to Cecil Fielder of Detroit, who has 111. And you notice things like this tend to happen when, again, you walk that leadoff man. It changes your whole thinking. The double by Kingery hit sharply over the base, and then again the walk to Clark. Then Mitchell singled, and Williams has singled.
So Mel Stoudemire to the mound as they take that ball out of play to give it to the Giants, and it will go to Matt Williams for his 100th RBI. And Cone has yet to retire a batter. 5 up and 5 men have been on, as Terry Kennedy will be his next batter. So a rough start here for the Mets as they lead in the National League by a half game over the Pirates. Kennedy hitting .278 with 2 home runs, 21 RBIs. One of his home runs a grand slammer against the Mets. He's 2 for 11 against Cone in his major league career, and he goes after the first pitch. It's strike 1.
Got to really try to bear down on Kennedy now and keep the Mets in this game. Remember, Paul McClellan, his first major league start. You don't know what's going to happen. But you got to really regroup in this situation and pitch as though the score were 0-0. Forget about the 3 runs.
Really have to come back and get him as Kennedy goes after the fastball. It's strike 2, and Cone finally gets out in front of a hitter. Kennedy has hit well against the Mets. He has a .294 lifetime batting average with 10 home runs. 2 strikes to count. Cone with a breaking ball, a missing low, and it's 1-2. Pirates are scheduled against Houston. Houston playing some tough baseball.
John Smiley against Danny Darwin. Darwin with 9 straight wins.
And the fastball hit foul. It'll be back into the stands out of play. There is the young starter for the Giants, Paul McClellan, making his debut in the major leagues, and he's got a little bit of a cushion here as the Giants lead at 3-0. Still no one out. And it's popped up and should be playable. Charlie O'Brien over by the Giant dugout, and he makes the catch, and that's the first out of the game.
Charlie had 2 putouts of this nature yesterday, 2 foul balls that he caught, and he makes a rather easy play. So the Mets can see some light out of this so far disastrous first inning for David Cone.
And the batter for the Giants will be Rob Thompson. Thompson hitting .248 on the year with 13 home runs. He has 50 runs batted in. Mitchell, the runner at second base. Williams, the runner at first. 1 man out, top of the first. The Giants leading 3-0. And the first pitch, a good curve, a called strike. Thompson with a lifetime average against the Mets of .328 with 4 home runs. Against Cone, he's hitting .381 with 1 home runs. He has 8 base hits in his major league career against him. And another good curve. It's strike 2. So again, Cone out in front.
Don't want to give in Thompson on anything in the inside. He's already set up for the breaking ball.
Two strikes to count. And the fastball wasted high and away, and it's 1-2. Thompson, a good fastball hitter.
Loves the high fastball. He will strike out, has a tendency to go after bad breaking balls, and certainly Cone knows that. Showed him the fastball. See if he goes back to the breaking ball here.
And he does, and he strikes him out. So Thompson, his first strikeout victim, got him with Laredo. And now 2 men away.
Cone, after that 0-2 fastball, now comes back with that slider. Boy, that was vicious right there. That is wicked. Right on the corner.
That's a David Cone of late. He had been pitching so well for the New York Mets, but off to a poor start here in this game. And now with 2 men out, 2 men on, it'll be Jose Uribe. Uribe hitting .260 with 1 home run, 24 runs batted in. And the first pitch, a good fastball, strike 1. Uribe against Cone, 5 for 16, hitting .313. He's really hit the Mets fairly well in his major league career, .267 lifetime average. 1 strike pitch, and it is out of the strike zone, so the count 1-1. Uribe, the 8th man to bat in this inning. 1-1 the count. The on-deck batter, the pitcher. This ball popped up down the left field side, and a long run for McReynolds. He makes an outstanding play in foul territory to retire the side. But The Giants get 3 runs. They had 3 hits. They leave 2. And the score at the end of 1/2 inning. The Giants 3, the Mets coming up. And here's a word from MetLife. It's his major league debut. He has a record of 7-16. He compiled that at Phoenix with an earned run average of 5.17. Walked 78, struck out 102. Gave up 192 hits in 172 innings.
Lineup for the Mets, Tommy Herr leading it off, followed by Tim Teufel, a late insertion. Dave Magadan, a mildly sprained groin. Greg Jeffries batting 3rd, followed by Darryl Strawberry. Kevin McReynolds in the 5th slot. Howard Johnson batting 6th. Center fielder Darrell Boston batting 7th. Charlie O'Brien once again hitting 8th, and David Cohn batting 9th.
And Tommy Herr, as the leadoff batter, takes the first pitch for ball 1. Herr 2 for 3 in his debut for the Mets yesterday. A home run mixed in with those 2 base hits. Fine defensive play at home plate that really saved the ball game. Overall hitting .267 with 5 home runs, 51 RBIs, and that pitch a called strike, and it's 1-1. Herr acquired from the Philadelphia Phillies, and behind him, Tim Teufel on deck. Herr replacing Teufel at second base as a starting player. Here's the 1-1 pitch, and it's in the air to center field. Butler is there, glasses down. Sunny day here at Shea, and Herr is out. So 1 away, and that'll bring up Tim Teufel.
Third baseman, number 11, Tim Teufel.
Teufel hitting .252 in the year with 7 home runs, 20 runs batted in.
However, since August 1st, and that's when Teufel got hot, he has 5 home runs and 41 at-bats. 5 home runs, 2 of those pinch hit home runs, twice in his last 41 ABs.
And he gets an off-speed pitch for a called strike. Teufel a home run in this series, the second game of the series, won by the Mets 4-3. Was 1 for 3 in that ball game. The home run coming in the 3rd to put the Mets on the scoreboard. And it's ball 2, 2 balls and 1 strike. Teufel in the series also played in the first game and was 1 for 4 and hit the ball hard 3 times that he was up. Two and 0 the count. And now 3-0.
Tell you, if I were the Mets batters, I would give McClellan a chance to get wild. Maybe even take twice here. He's young, exuberant, anxious, nervous.
And it's ball 4. He walks Teufel on 4 pitches, so the Mets have a base runner. They're trailing 3-0. And Greg Jeffries is coming up.
McClellan, the only Giants player without the name on his uniform. He doesn't even have his name on the back of his uniform.
He just arrived, and he is the 26th pitcher to pitch for San Francisco this year. The major league record is 27. Giants with 15 players on the DL, and there's a strike as Jeffries does take the first pitch. So the defense, Clark, Thompson, Uribe, and Williams in the infield, set up for the double play. In the outfield, Mitchell, Butler, and Kingery. Kennedy the catcher. Jeffries, tough day yesterday. In this series, he's 3 for 12, hitting .297. Lost 3 points off his batting average when he went 0 for 4 yesterday, and that pitch dug out of the dirt by Kennedy. A good play there. The count 1-1. Jeffries with 14 home runs, a career high for him, and 63 RBIs. 1-1 the count. Teufel on at first. And he draws another throw. McClellan not too familiar with Teufel or the Mets. All he knows is what he's been told. And this ball drilled into the right field corner. It'll be extra bases. Teufel on his way to third, played out by the right fielder Kingery, and the base hit puts Jeffries at second and Teufel at third, and the Mets can get back here with Darryl Strawberry coming up. Jeffries leading the league in 2 base hits.
His 36th of the year.
Number 18, right fielder,
That's what happens when you jump off that big lead in the first inning. If you're the third base coach, you have to play a more passive game. Scoreless ball game. I think he sends Tuffle right here, but you've got to hold up Timmy with the Giants leading 3-0.
So the Mets with runners in scoring position for Darryl Strawberry. And the first pitch is fouled down.
Jeffrey's a very compact swing, the most compact from where the hands are to point of contact, the most compact hitter that the Mets have. They've maggoted him next to Jeffries.
And Strawberry takes Hine away, and it's 1-1 strike. Strawberry in this series 6 for 12 with 2 home runs. He now has 30 home runs in the year with 87 runs batted in, hitting .280. He is tied for third place in the home run race. This pitch almost a wild pitch. Another good play by Kennedy, and the count 2-1 strike. Strawberry with 1,000 hits. Ed Kranepool, who was honored here yesterday, he was put into the Mets Hall of Fame, leads among all-time players for the Mets with the most hits. That lead will stay for quite some time.
He's going to get that splitter again right here.
2-2 the count. Mets need to get at least one of these runners in.
See that wiggle? Here comes the splitter.
And it is a split finger fastball, but out of the strike zone, and the count goes to 3-2. Strawberry won't get much to hit.
You're the runner at second base. Watch the first sign. It's going to be a wiggle again. I would imagine they'll go right back to the splitter. Yep, there it is.
And the Mets 4-3 win in the second game. Strawberry walked intentionally in the 9th inning. This ball grounded to second. They'll get a run. And Strawberry is out. But the Mets do score. And Strawberry gets his 88th run batted in as he grounds out to Thompson, the second baseman.
Number 22, left fielder, Kevin McClellan.
RBI number 88 on the year for Strawberry, and it was the splitter. And Robbie Thompson just underhanding it to Will Clark, but the Mets are on the board.
And the batter is Kevin McReynolds. Kevin 4 for 12 in this series, hitting with a runner at third and 2 men out. And the first pitch, ball 1. McReynolds hitting .258, 18 home runs, 66 runs batted in. He has hit in 7 of his last 8 games, hitting .353 over that time. And there's ball 2, 2 balls and no strikes. And McClellan is in for a hard day's work here today.
So is Terry Kennedy. He's come close to that wild pitch 5 times.
And another one out of the strike zone, so it's 3-0. On deck batter Howard Johnson. And the 3-0 pitch is taken on the outside corner. Too tough a pitch to swing at, and it's 3-1. When you're hitting 3-0, you got to make that pitch be right exactly where you want it. If not, you got to take it. Here's the 3-1 pitch, and it's ball 4, so McReynolds walks on a pitch in the dirt. That puts runners at first and third with 2 men out and brings up Howard Johnson.
Kennedy has made some very, very good plays behind the plate. If you're the runners on base, you got to really be alert for that ball in the dirt. Take an extra base and steal a run.
Howard Johnson hitting .249 with 20 home runs, 77 RBIs. 4 for 12 in this series against the Giants. He's hit in 4 straight ball games, hitting .467 over that period with 7 base hits. And his first pitch, a fastball for a called strike. Paul McClellan with his first appearance in the major leagues. He was 7-16 at Phoenix. And this looks like another split finger fastball. It is, and it's in the dirt, and once again Kennedy digs it out. So he's got a full day's work. Already has, as a matter of fact. Son of Bob Kennedy, who is now the director of player personnel for the San Francisco Giants, working for Al Rosen, the great ball player for the Cleveland Indians.
You at home know by now that the wiggle is the split finger fastball. If Kennedy puts down the wiggle, that's it right there, the splitter. Here it comes.
And the 1-1 pitch to Johnson, and it is inside for ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike. No one throwing in the bullpen for the Giants, but Roger Craig has to be a little bit uptight right here. Giants jumping out to a 3-0 lead. The Mets with 1 back. They have the time run at first. This time they're going to another type pitch, probably the breaking ball with two put down. You can go on pumps. That would be the second pitch if it's pumps, or you can go on fingers or numbers, and that would be 2 for curveball.
You see, it looks like putting down that wiggle, it looks like they've avoided the pumps. And with a young pitcher, you're going to make it as simple as possible.
That's a fastball inside.
See the fastball in, he shook it off, he went away, and now they were in between. That's why McClellan stepped off.
2 balls, 1 strike, and we'll see what he wants this time. Now
Fastball away.
Fastball away. And he does go away with the fastball. It's fouled back into the stands. So simple signs being used by Kennedy with this rookie pitcher. Roger Craig has been accused of calling all the pitches. We'll see if he's doing anything right here. He denies that he calls pitches. He says, I do call pitch outs. Former pitcher for the New York Mets, and there's a sign that he has given Kennedy. We'll see what happens. Craig, 10-24 for the Mets in 1962, and it's the split finger fastball. They're not going to give in to Johnson. And he misses with it in the count 3-2. So the runner at first will not be held on. McReynolds there. And he'll be going with the pitch as Clark drops back off the bag. 3-2. The runner going at first. He represents the time run, the on-deck batter, Darrell Boston. A lot of hitters don't want to know the pitch. This is a fastball, and they want it away from Johnson. But what an advantage it is if you know what's coming. 3-2. This time they're going to go to the splitter as they shake off the fastball, and he throws it and gets it in the strike zone, but Johnson spoils it. And the count remains at 3 balls and 2 strikes.
I think they had the fastball called away, and then when McClellan stepped off, Kennedy went back to the splitter. Tell you, lots happened. This to be just the bottom of the first inning,
A lot of action.
Man.
About a half hour of it. But it's been exciting. 3-2. Runner at first. McReynolds, and another split finger fastball called for. And it's into the air to right field. Kingery, a late start, but he comes on and he'll get to it. And that will retire the side. So McClellan survives the first inning, giving up 1 run on 1 hit. He walked 2 and left 2. And the score at the end of 1 inning here at Shea. It's a Giants 3 and the Mets 1. Now here's a word from Delta Airlines. Well, back here at Shea Stadium, look at what took place in the dugout between innings. McClellan, the pitcher, talking it over with Norm Sherry, the pitching coach, who was a major league catcher and also a major league manager.
He just told him to take a pitch. And he did. Roger Craig, he put that 1 finger out there. He said, take a pitch.
First major league at bat.
Paul's probably thinking, man, there are a lot of signs up here.
Well, it's complicated up here. In Phoenix, nice warm weather and not a whole lot of pressure on. But right now he's in the middle of a hot pressured pennant race. Giants still have some hope. They lost 3 in a row, but they're within range, 9.5 games behind Cincinnati. But they also trail the Dodgers by 3. They'll go back to playing in their own division. after this ball game with the Mets. 1-2 the count. And this pitch, a fastball fouled back, and the count stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Terry Kennedy toweling down. He's already had a full day's work. And the curveball, good swing on it, might be a base hit, and it will be. So McClellan in his first at bat in the major leagues singles off of David Cone, and that's a good accomplishment.
No, that's just carelessness on Cone's part. He threw the 0-2 fastball right down the middle, and now the breaking ball. You've got a young pitcher, inexperienced, and he just hangs it right over the middle of the plate. Get ahead of him with strikes, get him out with balls, especially a pitcher with no experience.
So a runner on with no one out. Second inning in a row, the leadoff batter has been on, and Brett Butler, who was the first man to get on as he led off the ball game in the first, batting for the second time. Butler leading the National League in walks now. He has 77, one more than Barry Bonds. And he takes in the pitch is ball 1. Giants have lost 5 straight to the Mets after winning 10 of 11 dating back to August of 1989. Mets have won the first 3 games of this series. And if they can win this one, it would be a sweep. The last time San Francisco and the Mets played in a sweep situation was back in 1979. And the Giants swept the Mets. It was a 2-game series in that situation. And the last time the Giants ever swept the Mets 4 games in a 4-game series was 1962, the first year of the Mets. The 62 Giant team was awesome. And the 2-1 pitch is taken for ball 3, and Cone still fighting his command. He cannot find the right rhythm to get the ball where he wants it. And on the verge of walking Brett Butler for the second time and putting runners at first and second. Giants with 3 in the first. 2 walks by Cone and 3 base hits. They sent 8 men to the plate. And there's a strike, and it's 3-2.
McClellan now in a position to get a steal sign. He's probably saying, oh no, more signs. Now he's looking over at Wendell Kim, the first base coach. He said, wink at me, tell me I'm going.
3-2. He is running. The ball grounded at the second baseman Herr, and Herr goes to second to pick up the lead runner. Good play there. And the Mets pick up the first out here in the second as Butler reaches on the force play.
See, McClellan looked over at Wendell Kim. He probably winked, and he's probably glad he's off the base. Got so many signs already. It's only the second inning.
That'll bring up Mike Kingery, who doubled his first time up. And a throw to first base, and Butler almost caught there. Very close play. Butler with 37 stolen bases and 52 attempts. And once again, Cone sets up. His pitch is in there, called strike. Now 2 for 12 against the Mets in his major league career, with that double his first time up in the first inning. And over to first again. The Giants since the All-Star break 23 and 26. Cincinnati over that period 25 and 26, playing under 500 baseball. The Dodgers have played the best, 31 and 18 since the All-Star break. And the bunt attempt by Kingery. Ball fouled away, strike 2.
Bill Fahey, the Giants' third base coach. The last time the Mets where in San Francisco, right after they left, Bill Fahey has a Dalmatian, and he was sitting at home with his children one night. I'll tell you what happened.
2 strikes to count, and the pitch, a breaking ball for a ball, and it's 1-2.
Dalmatian was up on the couch with Bill, and he looked over and said something, you know, that a boy, or whatever you'd say to a dog in a very peaceful moment. Well, the dog reached over and clamped him right by the right chin, and it was very serious stitches taken in Bill's face as a result.
Where's the Dalmatian now?
I don't know.
They're supposed to be mild-mannered dogs.
Well, this one wasn't. Some serious stitches taken in Bill Fahey's face, however.
Another throw to first base, and Butler back. Giants are not a running ball club. They're 10th in the National League in stolen bases. They do hit and run a lot. Different from a steal. And the pitch is again a ball, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. And you could see Butler in motion on the next pitch. Giants have been successful in stolen bases just 64% of the time. 2-2 the count. Butler a fairly good lead. And he does not go, and the ball is popped up into an area back at third. Johnson making the call and catch, and Butler back to first. That'll bring up Will Clark.
First baseman, Will
Clark has yet to see a strike. He was walked on 4 pitches by Cohn in the first, later on scored. Giants leading 3-1. We're in the top of the 2nd inning. Clark hitting .286 with 16 home runs, 78 RBIs. Second in the National League in hitting last year. He led the league in RBIs. And he takes a fastball throw to first base, and Butler just does get back. Charlie O'Brien, the new catcher for the Mets. He's been known as a fine defensive player. One ball, no strikes to Will Clark. 2 men away, and the pitch back is fouled back.
Talked about Bill Fahey, and this is not the way you want to be kept in stitches. You can see that that scar on Bill's right cheek. At the most serious of the punctures. A rather serious incident.
And there's a breaking ball for a ball. 2 balls and 1 strike. Clark had a shot at winning the batting title last year, but Tony Gwynn had a tremendous last week and took it away from him. Here's the 2-1 pitch, a runner going. The throw by Fahey bounced in the dirt. Good play on it by Johnson to keep it from going through into center field, and Butler has his stolen base.
David Cohn has already thrown 50 pitches, and we're not even through the first 2 innings yet. He has really struggled this afternoon.
So a runner in scoring position for Will Clark. They count 3-1, and that's strike 2. Clark started at first base. The on-deck batter is Kevin Mitchell. If you're really a serious hitter, you don't want to walk in this spot. You want that RBI. A lot of players look for the walk. Here's the 3-2 pitch. And it's a breaking ball for ball 4. So Clark has walked. And that puts runners at first and second for Kevin Mitchell, who singled in 2 runs his first time out. Third walk given up by Cohn. We're in the 2nd inning. Giants leading 3-1 and threatening here in the 2nd as Kevin Mitchell steps in. Mitchell now with 82 runs batted in to go with his 31 home runs. Hitting .303 in the year. And he goes after the fastball. Strike 1. Mitchell for the Mets got his first big league base hit off Steve Carlton back in 1984. 2. Two strikes to count to Mitchell. And Mitchell, a fellow that will chase bad pitches. You got to be careful here you don't throw the ball in that strike zone. And a play on at second. Herr's over there. He's out. Brett Butler picked off at second base. A big mistake for Butler. And it will end the inning. Cone to Herr, and that was it. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left on base. The score at the end of 1.5 innings. It's the Giants 3, the Mets 1. And here's a word from your Tri-State Lincoln Mercury dealers. Well, we're going to the bottom half of the second. The Giants leading 3-1 in the final meeting between these two clubs this year. Mets have won 6 of the 11 games played with the Giants. And for the Mets, it'll be Darrell Boston to lead it off. Boston hitting 7th in the batting order. Batting .280 for the year with 8 home runs, 33 runs batted in. And the first pitch by Paul McClellan is taken for a called strike. Major League debut for the young right-hander. And that pitch off speed, and it's out of the strike zone. 1 ball, 1 strike. In '89, McClellan was with Shreveport, where he was 8-3 with a 2.24 ERA. There's ball 2, 2 balls and 1 strike. He also went to AAA ball at Phoenix and was 3-4 with a 4.92 ERA. And this year, before coming into this ball game, 7-16 at Phoenix. And that's ball 3, 3 balls and 1 strike.
Paul is the 26th pitcher that the Giants have used this year, the 14th starter. They used 15 last year.
And that's ball 4, so Boston leads off with a walk.
Give you an idea, and Roger Craig's coming out to talk to Paul right now, telling him probably that he's pitching backwards. Just go ahead and use your fastball. But to give you some idea of how desperate the Giants are for pitching, Paul McClellan won 5 of his first 6 decisions. He was 5-1 and then lost 2 of his next 17 decisions. So they've called up a pitcher who was 2-15 over his last 17 decisions, and a team that's in 3rd place. That's an idea of how depleted their organization is as far as pitchers are concerned.
They've used 26 pitchers, as Tim pointed out. The record is 27. The Mets are included in that record. Back in 1967, the Mets used 27 pitchers. There is a fly ball hit out to center field as Butler comes up with it. And O'Brien, batting for the first time, is out. Still looking for his first hit. He is now 0 for 3. That'll bring up David Cone in a bunting situation.
The pitcher, number 44.
Mets in that year, 1967, had a record of 61 and 101 losses. Finished 40.5 games out of first. The other 2 teams that used 27 pitchers, the 1915 Philadelphia A's and the 1955 Kansas City A's. They both finished way out. Kansas City 33 games out, and the 1915 Philadelphia A's 58.5 games out. But the Giants with 26 pitchers still in the fight. Cohen swings away, tops it out to the shortstop. They get 1, and that's all. And Thompson lucky to keep that ball in his glove. It was snow coning in there at the top. So Cohen swinging away, and Boston forced at second base.
Second baseman, Tom Herr.
Had they not gotten the thing, and look at Will Clark. When Cone swings away, if Uribe doesn't go back to second, Cone is not, or Clark is not covering at first base. So a very, very good play. Uribe trying to and succeeding in getting Boston at second. Had he had to go to first base, Clark is retreating. Doubtful that he gets Cone.
So a runner at first now, and Tommy Herr, the batter, and he lifts this one down the line. It's a long run for the right fielder, Kingery, and he can't get to it, but it's a foul ball. So Tommy Herr back to the plate. And Cone goes back to first. Giants leading 3-1. We're in the bottom half of the second inning. Just about an hour's play. Awful lot going on in this ball game in the early part. Wendell Kim getting messages from the eye in the sky. And the pitch back to Herr, line to right center for a base hit. Kingerly fields it, gets it back in, and Herr has his first hit of this game, his third for the New York Mets. The Mets now have the tying run at first with Tim Teufel coming up.
I was in the clubhouse today, and the first guy I ran into was Tommy Herr in the Mets clubhouse, of course. And Tommy said that he told Frank Cashin earlier this morning, Frank, of course, the general manager of the Mets, he told Frank, he said, don't expect performances like yesterday every week, every day. He said yesterday was a week's performance for me as far as my offense is concerned.
2 for 3 and a home run. And now Teufel the batter, and he goes after the split finger fastball, a check swing, strike one. Teufel walked on 4 pitches his first time up. Teufel, a late starter for the Mets, as Magadan was scratched. And he goes after the splitter again. Again, it's out of the strike zone, strike 2. Magadan scratched from the ball game, hitting .330 for the Mets, third in the National League. Dykstra leading the National League at .342, then Willie McGee, who qualifies at .335, even though he's now with Oakland. And a ball call, it's 1-2. Magadan with a slight pulled groin muscle. But the target is set for Lenny Dykstra, .335. Willie McGee at that point. This ball fouled, and it will be out of play. All you have to have is 502 plate appearances, and Willie McGee, when he was with the St. Louis Cardinals, way over that. So he could win the National League batting title and be a teammate of Rickey Henderson, who could win the National League batting title for Oakland.
American League batting.
American League, yeah. So they could have 2 batting champions on the same club. I don't believe that's ever happened before.
It has not ever happened. That is correct.
There have been players traded that have won batting titles. This ball hit in the air into shallow right. Thompson back to make the call and catch, and that retires the side. So the Mets threaten but don't score. A walk and a base hit. They leave 2 and the score at the end of 2. It's the Giants 3, the Mets 1. Now here's a word from Hess Gasoline. Top of the third, the Giants leading 3-1 as they come up. Remember, drinking responsibly makes good sense. Please know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser. Kevin Mitchell will lead it off. He was left at home plate when Brett Butler was picked off at second base in the second inning, and the first pitch to Mitchell swung on and fouled for strike 1. Mitchell with a single to drive in 2 runs in the first. Gets a brand new count. He was down with a 2-strike count when the pickoff came of Butler at second. Bad base running mistake made by the veteran Brett Butler. Here's the 1-strike pitch, and it's hit into center field. Sky high in center, and Darrell Boston circles it, makes the play. That'll bring up Matt Williams, who has driven in a run. Loop base hit, a broken bat base hit to left field in the first inning to give the Giants a 3-0 lead. Mets got 1 back in the first and trailed by a score of 3-1. Williams in a batting slump. He had been 3 for 25 and 7 for 37 before his base hit his first time up, and now he gets another. So Williams 2 for 2, a runner on with 1 out, and Terry Kennedy coming up.
First 2 innings, the Giants had their leadoff runners on, and in this inning, they have a runner on with 1 out. Since the Elias Sports Bureau has been doing that, checking the percentages of how great the odds are to score from first base,
There goes the runner, and this ball drilled down the line. It'll be extra bases. Williams coming around third. The throw by Strawberry is into the cutoff man, and on the play, Tuffle taking the cutoff. Make that Herr taking the cutoff. The runner's held at third.
And a double on the hit and run play by Terry Kennedy. Williams running all the way, and Kennedy rifles one down the right field line. But if the leadoff batter gets on, 51% of the time he scores. If the batter gets on with one out, he only scores 16% of the time. That is a big difference.
Tremendous difference.
And really an incentive to get the leadoff batter.
And now runners at second and third and one out, and the batter's Rob Thompson, and that pitch a ball. So Cohn continues to have his problems here in the first 3 innings. Giants leading 3-1. Cohn, who had been pitching brilliantly, really struggling through this game. Thompson was struck out his first time up. Got him with a good sidearm slider. He has hit the Mets well in his major league career, hitting .328 against them. 8 for 22 against Cohn. That includes his strikeout here today. And the 1-0 pitch. Good curve, and 1-1. Matt Williams, a runner at third base. Terry Kennedy, the runner at second. Kennedy, a very slow runner. And the pitch is a squeeze play, and the ball is missed. And Williams in the rundown, and O'Brien makes the play. As they get Williams on the suicide squeeze play as Thompson failed to bunt the ball. One job that Thompson had to do is somehow get the better of the ball. You just cannot miss it. And that's exactly what he did, and the runner is dead.
I wonder if Roger Craig knew that Robbie Thompson was 8 for 22 lifetime against Cohn. You got runners at second and third. A fly ball scores him. Even an infield out. The infield was back. But Craig elects to squeeze. And Thompson in the hole.
And did he swing the appeal to Doug Harvey as he did not? The count 2-2. Kennedy on the attempted bunt play goes over to third, so he's at third with 2 men out. And Charlie O'Brien out to talk to David Cohn.
I don't think the squeeze with runners at second and third and a guy who's a productive hitter up there is a good play. If a runner was at third base, that's a different story. But when you've got second and third, you only have a 2-run lead. It's early in the game. Not because it didn't work. It's just, you know, not percentages, I don't think.
This one hit off the hands and taken by Jeffries, and I totally agree with you, Jim, on that one. That retires the side, and in the inning, 2 hits wasted as they leave one at third, and the score at the end of 2.5 innings of play, it's Giants 3, the Mets 1, and here's a word from Nissan.
Monday nights at Shea are going to be very special this season. That's because on each Monday home game, Sharp Electronics and the New York Mets will be giving away a specially designed collector's pin commemorating the championship teams from '69, '73, '86, and '88. Monday, September 10th, is pin night number 4, and all fans will receive a replica press pin celebrating the 1988 Eastern Division champions courtesy of Sharp Electronics. Call 718-507-TIXX for more information. Fans, come on out to Shea and see the lighter side of the 1990 New York Mets on Pergament Photo Album Day. On Saturday, September 15th, when the Mets take on the Phillies at 1:35, all fans will receive an album book with full-colored, candid pictures of all your favorite Mets, courtesy of Pergament Home Centers. Tickets are available at all Ticketron outlets, Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or you can call 718-507-TIXX for more information.
And we're going to the bottom half of the third. The Giants doing everything to keep this game close, as they had a runner picked off at second with Mitchell up and runners at first and second, and then had a botched up squeeze play that didn't work. And as we go to the bottom half of the third, the Mets are within 2. The leadoff batter will be Greg Jeffries, and his first pitch is taken for ball 1. Jeffries with a double his first time up. They moved Temple, who had walked, to third. And this one hit the deep center field. Butler off and running. He has plenty of room. And he makes the catch. So Jeffries back. And that'll bring up Darryl Strawberry, who had a run batted in on a ground out his first time up. His 88th run batted in of the year. Paul McClellan, the pitcher for the Giants, his first major league appearance. Just brought up from Phoenix, where he was 7-16 with an earned run average of 5.17. Can't really go on ERAs in that league, especially Phoenix, where the ball travels so well in that hot weather. 1-0 the count. And Strawberry again grounds the ball to the second baseman. Thompson over to first to Clark, 2 men away.
Let's take a look at the Nissan National League scoreboard. Full slate. Cincinnati over Chicago, 1-0 in the second. 5-1 San Diego over the Phillies. They lost a doubleheader to Philadelphia last night. That game in the fourth. Pittsburgh at Houston just underway. LA 4-1 over Montreal as did the Dodgers. And St. Louis at Atlanta, no score in the second.
And the batter is Kevin McReynolds. He takes a slider outside for ball 1. And the off-speed pitch is in there for a called strike. 1-1. McReynolds fooled by the change of speeds. The 1-1 pitch by McClellan, and it's outside and high. 2 balls and 1 strike. McClellan looks like he is really a stranger to the mound. And it's ball 3, 3-1.
He is to this mound.
He really is.
Never met it.
The 3-1 pitch. And it's hit deep to left. It's going, and it is gone. Goodbye. Kevin McReynolds with a home run, and the Mets are within 1.
You can fall behind the little guys, but don't fall behind the big guys. You make a mistake with them and they're looking for it. This is what happens. Right down the middle of the plate, but not for long. Home run number 19 for McReynolds.
Game on a 3-1 fastball, and that brings up Howard Johnson, who takes for ball 1. Johnson on a 3-2 pitch flat out to right field to end the first inning, leaving runners at first and third. Paul McClellan. And a fastball pulled foul. Howard Johnson with 499 career runs batted in. 77 of them this year. He has hit 20 home runs and has a .249 batting average. Ball 2, 2 balls and 1 strike. Tommy Herr sitting there watching in the Mets uniform. It's 3-1. So again, a 3-1 count by McClellan working to Howard Johnson. Kevin McReynolds with the home run off a 3-1 fastball. And now the pitch, and it's a fastball, and it's hit foul. So McReynolds with his 19th home run of the year, 67th run batted in. He has hit in 8 of his last 9 games. That's his 9th home run against San Francisco in his major league career. Here comes a split finger fastball. And it's popped up in foul territory. Maybe fair. Ball drifting back, and it will be a fair ball. And Kingery makes a catch. So on identical pitches, Howard Johnson has flied out on a 3-2 count to the right fielder. That ends the inning. 1 run on the home run by Kevin McReynolds. No one left on. The score at the end of 3, it is the Mets trailing the Giants 3-2. Now here's a word from Federal Express. Top of the 4th, an attentive bunt for a base hit by Uribe as Tim McCarver comes in, a man who never bunted.
Oh, I bunted occasionally. Yeah, sure. Here it is again. And it's bunted foul by Uribe. 3-2 ball game. Now this is the San Francisco Giants' eye in the sky. And I don't guess they need him now. The Giants are batting.
So he's taking a little nap. You can't blame him for that.
0-2. Those quick naps are nice, right? Huh?
Just got
there he is again.
Whoops.
Watch it. Splitter. Still 0-2. Kind of the ears in the sky today. 3 runs for the Giants in the first. The Mets with 1 in the first and 1 in the third. Uribe goes too far. So strikeout victim number 2 for Cone. And would like to remind you that this game is brought to you in part by Midas. Remember Midas? For all your under the car needs. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody. Here's the pitcher, Paul McClellan. And he swings and misses. Two to McClellan. Wake-up call. He's saying, what is that for me? Tell him I'm not here. Popped up shallow center. Boston in. 2 outs.
Center fielder, Brett Butler.
Well, as you could tell by that gentleman dozing, a lazy day here at Shea. Nice crowd on hand once again. As Brett Butler steps up. Butler's been on twice. He has walked, scored a run, stolen a base, and he was picked off of second with Kevin Mitchell batting. He's saying, wait a minute. What's going? He did get a wake-up call. Look at that. He's waving to the dugout now. Somebody called him and said, hey, you were asleep. There you are. Yeah. Hey, hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Oh, that's great, huh? Here I'm trying to do my job. And I've got cameras picking me up all over the place. Well, it's a wake-up call, though. Grounded up the middle. Base hit for Butler. Hotels are so personable now, Ralph. You get recorded wake-up calls, right?
That really bugs me. You'd think they could at least have somebody say it's 78 degrees outside.
Well, they do on the recording. The recording,
yeah, but
they
you know
do.
it's fake, though. They don't mean it.
It's not fake.
I mean, what's a machine going to tell you? Have a good day?
No. Well, if they did, I mean, it has nothing to do with whether you're going to have one or not. But if you take a nap in the afternoon and you get a wake-up call, it still says good morning to you. Here's Mike Kingery. He doubled in the first inning. High ball 1 to Mike. 2 outs, 1 on. 3-2 Giants.
You don't like anybody telling you to have a good day.
That is correct.
What about a machine? Is that
no? That's even worse.
That's worse.
Oh, it's terrible. I'd like to decide on what kind of day I have myself. Ball 2, 2-0.
If you want to have a bad day, you can have it.
Exactly. If I want to be in a bad mood, let me be in a bad mood. Don't be telling me to have a nice day. Man. 2 balls, no strikes to Mike Kingery. Fly ball, left center, Boston over, McReynolds over, and it's Boston who one-hands it. So Cohen is dancing through the raindrops, trouble in each inning. But he only trails 3-2, and we'll be back after this from Midas. We will remind you once again that this game is brought to you in part by Midas. Remember Midas for all your under-the-car needs? Nobody beats Midas, nobody. Also by Nobody Beats the Wiz Home Entertainment Centers for everything in home electronics, music, and movies. Nobody beats the Wiz. And our apologies to the Giants' eye in the sky. It wasn't he that we were picking up. It was some gentleman who's just taking a nap. That was the eye in the sky. Al Rosen would be on the phone, wouldn't he?
You could be. Yeah, we were saying it in a kidding way, though.
0-1
There's a real eye in the sky. He's wide awake and ready,
yeah,
Al.
Yeah. Sitting next to Red Foley, the official score. 1-1 to Darryl Boston. Wendell Kim. Inside, ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike. He just told him the story, and Wendell's laughing about it. Now all the coaches will get together and they'll tell the story. Outside, ball 3. 3 straight 3-1 counts on Met hitters. 1 have been productive, 1 at bat. A home run by Kevin McReynolds. Boston fouls it away, 3-2. You know, it's interesting, the American League, since that incident in Chicago earlier in the year, can't use the eye in the sky. What do you do in the World Series? You put one team at a disadvantage by using the eye in the sky? Do you allow the National League to do it and not the American League?
I don't think you can.
Just a thought. But the National League shouldn't be penalized because of the rule in the American League, right? Gets back to that unified ruling system where you should have the same rules for both leagues. Kind of silly, really, when you think about it. Boston down on strikes, 1 away.
Checking out the Nissan American League scoreboard. Yankees at Boston tonight. Toronto 1, Cleveland nothing. Top of the 5th inning. Baltimore, Milwaukee, no score. Top of the 2nd. Minnesota 1, Detroit nothing. Bottom half of the 2nd. Texas later against Oakland, Kansas City and Seattle, and the White Sox in California. Oakland leading the White Sox by 5.5 games, and Boston leading Toronto by 6.5. Boston has won 9 straight games.
0-1 to Charlie O'Brien, who was an American leaguer all the way until 2 days ago. Splitter is low. 1-1 to Charlie O'Brien. Hey, the Mets a half a game in first place. They are looking for the pie in the sky. Strike 2, 1-2 to O'Brien. That one came up and bit Terry Kennedy on the lip. Still 1-2.
Well, it's a split finger fastball, and ball getting under the mask of Kennedy and going in against his chin.
Tapper toward first. Easy play for Clark, and he lets it go right between the legs. Oh, man. Kind of reminiscent of the 6th game of the World Series in '86.
Bill Buckner let that ball play him, and that error by Buckner gave the Mets the 6th game. They went on to win the 7th in 1986. And Clark on that little easy ground ball gets his 12th error of the year. That's a lot of errors for Clark at first base.
Of course, now we agree that this was not as memorable as the Buckner ground ball. I think any ground ball in World Series history was that memorable, as the sacrifice is successful. 5-4. So O'Brien at second base with 2 outs, and Tom Herr coming up.
So Cohn, who was in a sacrifice position in his first at bat and swung away, does sacrifice this time, and they get the out as it goes from Williams to Thompson.
Second baseman, Tommy Herr.
Charlie O'Brien at second, 2 outs. The Mets trailing 3-2. We're in the 4th inning, and here's Tommy Herr. He is 1 for 2. He flied to center and singled to right. Strike 1 to Herr. Tommy lives in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. He's from there. He built a home there and was commuting from there to the Philadelphia ballpark, and will maintain that home in Lancaster. Obviously staying in a hotel here in the city, and then decide for whom he will play next year. He'll be the opportunity to be a free agent at the end of the year. Ground ball left side. Uribe throws out Herr. So the error was not costly, the error by Clark, and the Mets fail to score. It's 3-2 Giants after 4, and we're back after this from Manufacturers Hanover. Top of the 5th inning, and Will Clark will lead it off. Al Harrison, the senior vice president of the Mets, in to talk about the free agency status of Tommy Herr. And we understand from Herr that he has been telling the writers that he will not be a free agent until after 1991. That's not official, and when the Player Relations Committee convenes on Tuesday, Harrison is going to check that out, and we'll know officially for our broadcast from St. Louis on Tuesday night. 0-1 to Will Clark. So it's not official that Herr will be a free agent at the end of this year. I'm sure the Mets hope that he's not. Inside, ball 1, 1-1.
Well, the Mets were not aware of that situation. It's a technicality that is one of the many, many rules and regulations that have been changed in the last several years.
Yeah, the Mets were under the impression, as this ball is grounded to Tommy, and there's one away, the Mets under the impression that it was kind of a, you used the term, Ralph, yesterday, rent-a-player for the month of September. That's really kind of what the Mets thought, but they might have a better deal than they thought initially if Tommy is right about that.
So a bonus for the Mets. If he is not a free agent, he will be in the Mets uniform next year.
As Kevin Mitchell takes a breaking ball outside. Mitchell drove in 2 runs in the 1st inning with a bases loaded single, and he is flied out to center field. 3-2 Giants here in the 5th. Ball 2. Ball 3 to Kevin Mitchell.
Today in Houston, bottom of the 2nd, the Pirates won the Astros 0. Smiley against Darwin. He's really having a year. Aaron Darwin.
Strike 1 to Mitchell, 3-1. How about his new nickname? Dr. Death.
He's not too sure whether he likes it or not.
No. Well, the Mets are trying to be #1 this year. They are #1 entering today's action as Mitchell tomahawks one to center. Boy, did he get on top of that high fastball and drills it to center. So with 1 out, Kevin at first base.
Third baseman, Matt Williams.
Well, the Giants have been hammering away at David Cone. They've had base runners in every single inning as he has really struggled throughout this ball game. It's the 7th hit that he has given up. He also has walked 3, but he's still in the game 3-2. But he has Matt Williams to contend with.
Mitchell at first. Williams 1 for 2. Make that 2 for 2 for Matt. He did drive in a run, his 100th RBI back in the first inning.
He's a throwback to the old-time ball players. Look where he wears those pants.
There goes Mitchell, and this one tapped toward third. Tough play for Jeffries, and he can't make it. So it's going to be another hit for Matt Williams. And Mitchell stops at second. So the Giants again threatening with 2 on and 1 out here in the 5th.
Well, even if Jeffries fields this ball, it's unlikely he would be able to throw Matt Williams out, although he got a late start out of the box. A topper here, and Jeffries does all he can do. He has to charge it and hope he gets a good straight hop, and he doesn't. And it's off of his glove. So once again, Cone will have to pitch himself out of trouble.
Breaking ball, ball 1. Terry Kennedy doubled his last time up. He has also popped to Charlie O'Brien, the catcher. 3-2 Giants. They're threatening again here in the 5th. Splitter and a beauty, 1-1.
Kennedy with 21 doubles in just 268 at bats.
Ball, a strike to Terry Kennedy. 1 out with Mitchell at second and Williams at first. 3-2 San Francisco. There go the runners. The hit and run on the throw to third nails Mitchell by a yard. So things are backfiring for Roger Craig this afternoon.
A runner picked off at second base with 2 men on and Mitchell at the plate. A squeeze play that didn't work. A hit and run play that didn't work. And the Giants doing everything to keep the Mets in this game, and the Mets are grateful.
2 outs now. Williams moving to second, and the fastball in the dirt. A nice play by Charlie O'Brien. 2-2 to Kennedy. Nickname for Kevin Mitchell, Boogie Bear. He has been a teddy bear as far as the Giants are concerned. Kennedy fouls this back. Well, what production Roger Craig has gotten out of Kevin Mitchell the last 2 years. 79 home runs. 48 last year, 31 this year. Base hit up the middle. Williams is going to score. It's now 4-2 San Francisco. But think of how bad it could have been.
Well, again, Kennedy doing a job that he has done throughout his career against the Mets, hitting them well, and this is the 9th hit off Cone. And it's a 4-2 ball game as the runner comes in to score. Matt Williams.
David came out and started poorly. He walked Brett Butler in the first inning on 5 pitches, and since then he has been nothing but embroiled in hot water every inning. Oh, and 1 to Thompson.
I think I said it was the 9th hit. It's the 10th hit off a Cone.
One and 1 to Robbie. Ralph was talking about with runners at second and third his last time out and 1 out. The squeeze was on. He bunted through the ball, and they nailed Williams at third. Kennedy won't be running unless it's a delayed steal with 2 outs, 2 and 1. Strike 2 to Thompson, 2-2. Wow. breaking ball laced to left field. Kennedy's going to stop at second. Hit number 11 off of Cone. It's one of those days for David Cone, but again, had Mitchell not been thrown out on that attempted steal, this game might be out of reach.
Reaches out there and picks up the slider and hits it off the end of the bat into left field. So Cone just struggling away here. No action in the bullpen for the Mets.
Ball one to Jose Uribe, who struck out and flied out to McReynolds in foul territory. Fouled out of play. 1-1 to Jose Uribe. Outside, ball two, 2-1.
David just can't throw a breaking ball in the strike zone. 4 2/3 innings, 11 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks, only 2 strikeouts.
2-2 to Uribe. Ball 3-2, and that's a big play because the slow-footed Kennedy at second base now will be off and running, and he'll be able to score on a base hit to the outfield in all probability. There go the runners. Fastball foul back, still 3-2. Nobody warming for the Mets. Cone is due up 8 in the bottom of the 5th inning. Popped up in the infield. It's in foul territory now. Jeffries, the third baseman, makes the play. Ralph, I think you pointed it out. The Mets could very well be out of this ball game now were it not for the strategy that's been backfiring on the Giants. Still 4-2 after 4.5. We're back after this from your Tri-State Ford dealer. Bottom of the 5th inning, and back in to call it for you. Here's Ralph. What you got there, pal?
Well, one of our favorite little sayings right here. This copyrighted telecast is authorized under television rights granted by the New York Mets solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and Sterling Doubleday Enterprises, LP, and WWOR-TV is prohibited. Any commercial or other use of the program, such as by charging admission for its showing, is similarly prohibited. Bottom of the 5th, the Mets trailing 4-2. And a warm, friendly wave there as we move along halfway through this ball game, with Tim Teufel leading off against Paul McClellan, who is making his major league debut here against the Mets. And the first pitch to Teufel is in a called strike. Teufel has walked and popped up to second, scoring one of the Mets runs after the walk in the first inning, after a double by Jeffries and a ground out by Strawberry. Mets' other run coming on a home run by Kevin McReynolds. 1-strike pitch, a fastball grounded foul. So Teufel in the hole with a 2-strike count. Teufel from Greenwich, Connecticut, born and raised there. Lives there now. And the fastball for a ball. That's 1-2. Mets have had base runners in every inning, so it has not been an easy day for either pitcher. But the Mets have only 3 hits to the Giants' 11. And this fastball fouled back into the stands. The count remains a 1 ball and 2 strikes. Last meeting of the year between the Mets and Giants. And this ball hit down the left field line. Is far enough. Is it fair? And it is a fair ball. And Tuffle with another home run. Tuffle with his 6th home run in his last 43 at-bats.
Guys, it seems like when Tim Tuffle is challenged for a job, that's when he responds. A late replacement for Dave Magadan today. Magadan out with a sore groin. And Tuffle pounced on that hanger. And boy, was that a hanger.
He hung it all right. Out of the left field stands, and the Mets are now within 1 as Jeffries hits it hard down the right field line. It might be a double. Jeffries on his way to second. The throw by Kingery is not in time, and Jeffries with another 2-base hit. And the Mets have the tying run at second base with no one out.
Well, the Giants all afternoon have had more scoring opportunities than the Mets, but you just can't let a team like New York come back and give them an opportunity when you have a chance to put them away. The Giants have had many, many chances in 5 innings, and now the Mets have responded with the potential tying run at second.
And the batter is Darryl Strawberry, who has grounded out twice. He has an RBI. And the first pitch to Strawberry, a ball. That's ball 1. And action starting up in the bullpen for the Giants. One ball, no strikes. Strawberry hits it in the hole, and it's through into center field. Jeffries comes in. He scores. It's a tie ball game as Strawberry singles and gets his second RBI.
RBI number 89 on the season, and look at the configuration of the Giants defense. 3 infielders on the right side of the line. How can you find a hole? But he did. Shortstop and second baseman both going for it. And Darryl driving in the tying run.
Got to call that a German Shepherd. That was really a seeing eye base hit. 3 infielders on one side, and he hits the hole. So the Mets now have Strawberry at first. He represents the go-ahead run. And the batter is Kevin McReynolds. Strawberry in this series 7 for 15 with a big grand slam home run and 9 runs batted in. And here comes Roger Craig out to talk to home plate umpire Jerry Crawford. He's going to make a double switch here, as that will be all for Paul McClellan, who will leave the ball game after working 4 innings of work. And it's going to be Mike Benjamin taking over at shortstop. And the pitcher coming in will bat in Uribe's position. Uribe making the last out in the top of the 5th inning. So, well, Ernest Riles has taken over at shortstop. He'll bat in the 9th position in the batting order. And a new pitcher in for the Giants, Francisco Olivares.
Yeah, I gave you a bad feed. I told Ralph that Benjamin would be the other shortstop, but Riles did play shortstop in yesterday's game after pinch hitting. In that terrific ball game where Tommy Herr made the play. As a matter of fact, Riles was the hitter. He was the guy who hit the ball to Herr with Williams on third. Herr was back in his position, and he threw out Matt Williams. The numbers on Olivares. Isn't that peaceful? That's a great shot right there.
20 years from now, they'll say, "Do you remember your first game at the ballpark at Shea Stadium?" He says, "What game?" Kevin McReynolds will lead it off for the Mets. Tying run crossing the plate, so now Strawberry draws the throw at first. He is the go-ahead run. McReynolds with a home run in the third. It was his 9th home run against the Giants in his major league career, his 19th of this year. And no one out, and again Strawberry drawing the throw. Darrell with 15 stolen bases in 22 attempts this year. And now the pitch to the plate taken for a called strike. Olivares pitched earlier in this series. He was in the 12-2 game that the Mets won over the Giants, working 1 inning. It was Olivares who gave up the grand slam home run to Darryl Strawberry in that 8th inning when the Mets scored 5 runs. And this ball bunted out in front of the plate. Kennedy does not have a chance for a play at second, takes the throw to first base where Clark makes the catch, and Strawberry sacrificed down to second.
McReynolds bunting for a base hit, but not a bad idea. McReynolds had a bunt base hit in Thursday night's game. You see, he is dragging right there, and Terry Kennedy alertly picks it up and throws out McReynolds, his only play.
That'll bring up Howard Johnson. He's going to be walked intentionally to get to Darrell Boston. The walk will set up a chance for the double play. So Howard Johnson walked intentionally. Another piece of strategy by Roger Craig, who I think is thinking, if I keep doing it long enough, something might work. Everything that Roger Craig has tried has been a boomerang. The squeeze play that didn't work, a hit and run play that didn't work. And now the intentional walk to Howard Johnson with Darrell Boston coming up. Boston has walked and struck out in his 2 appearances. Strawberry at second base, Johnson at first, good speed in the bases. And Boston looking for his first hit of the game. And he takes a fastball for a called strike. Boston in this series 2 for 13. And a swing and a miss, strike 2. Pittsburgh leading Houston 2-0. That game in the top of the 4th inning. They're playing in the Astrodome. Mets in first place by 1/2 game over the Pirates. The 2-strike pitch, and it's hit down the left field line. Mitchell into foul territory, and he makes the catch. And Boston is out. Runners going back to their bases. It's Strawberry at second and McReynolds at first, and that'll bring up Charlie O'Brien. And coming out of the dugout is Dave Magadan to pinch hit for O'Brien. Magadan was in the starting lineup, but was scratched at the last minute for Tuffle, who has responded with a home run in this game. Magadan out of action with a slightly pulled groin muscle. So he'll be the pinch hitter.
Batting for Charlie O'Brien.
Buddy Harrelson's doing this probably for 2 reasons. Number 1, you may never have another chance to use Magadan. Number 2, you don't want him to play defense. So he's going to use 2 players for 1 position. You can do that after September the 1st because you have more players. You can expand your roster to 40 players.
Magadan, as a pinch hitter, has had 7 base hits in 20 at-bats, and he has driven in 2 runs. So he's done a fine job as a pinch hitter as well as an everyday ball player since taking over at first when Mike Marshall went down with an injury. Magadan hitting .330 on the year. 4 home runs, 51 runs batted in. He's third in the National League batting race, trailing Dykstra, who's hitting .342, and Willie McGee, who's hitting .335. So the go-ahead run at second with 2 men out, and the first pitch to Magadan. He takes a fastball for ball 1.
Tell you, a swing like that, a check swing like that, can hurt that groin probably as much as anything. Magadan held up. You know how it is when you hold up. You get that tension and everything. Right? Watch this. That's why Magadan was scratched from the starting lineup. It's something like that could really aggravate that groin.
Get everything started one way and then try to pull it back the other way.
Right.
And that's ball 2. Magadan with an on-base average of .421 this year. That's second to Dykstra, and he's had 59 walks. Career average against the Giants at .315. This year hitting .313 against them, and as we said, overall .330 for the year. Strawberry at second base. And that pitch is low, and it's ball 3. 3 balls and no strikes. If Magadan walks, you have the pitcher David Cone coming up, and the Mets have action in their bullpen, so they could go to a pinch hitter. So it's 3-0. Will Magadan hit away here?
No, they're going to put him on.
They're going to walk him.
I'll tell you, man, Roger Craig's been talking about a gambler. You got to pinch hit for Cone now, don't you?
Got to pinch hit for Cone.
I mean, why would you try to get Cone out of the game? He's had one of his worst starts this year.
So the bases are loaded on the intentional walk. And here comes Mackey Sasser.
Now he may go to the left-hander. Yeah, Buddy Harrelson, I mean, had he not walked him intentionally, then he may leave Cone in the game. He may be going to the left-hander Mark Thurman, who's warming up now.
His only left-hander.
Yeah.
Mets have not seen a left-handed pitcher in this series. Thurman, the only left-handed pitcher the Giants have. And he's been on the injury list. So Mackey Sasser to pinch hit for Cone. Cone with a chance to win it. No chance to lose now that the Mets have tied it up at 4-4. And here comes Roger Craig after Sasser is announced into the lineup. So he's going to the left-hander. Oliveira's pitching to 4 batters, retiring 2 of them and walking 2, and the 2 that were walked intentionally. Well, Roger Craig using the strategy of his volition as Mark Thurman takes his warm-up pitches. Doc Gooden there by the bat rack, but he's not going to be the pinch hitter.
He'll be the pinch runner probably for Dave Magadan, who's out of the game. Tell you, this was a good move if you think about what Roger Craig is doing. His only lefty in the bullpen, Mark Thurman, he's countering Buddy Harrelson because Buddy's using Mackey Sasser, and Sasser's he's got to hit right now because, you know, he doesn't have to. But since he's the second catcher, he'll stay in the game and be the catcher. Since he is the catcher, you'd think he has to stay in, and sure enough, it'll be a lefty against lefty matchup.
Mets have another catcher.
Todd Hundley, yeah.
Todd Hundley. Alex Trevino was released by the Mets just prior to all of the different acquisitions that the Mets pulled off.
But the thing is, you don't want to zero yourself into using your last catcher in the 5th inning when you may have to pinch hit later in the game. And Buddy Harrelson's hoping that Doc Gooden has warmed up really well, as you see Todd Hundley, 3rd Met catcher.
So Mackey Sasser to hit against the left-handed pitcher Thurman, who has a record of 2 and 3 and 4 saves. And the first pitch, a base hit to right field. Strawberry will score. McReynolds will score. Boston to third base. And the Mets lead it 6-4 as Sasser drives in 2 big ones. And once again, Roger Craig has shown he is no mandrake. He's got to be saying, what can I do that will work?
If Roger were Mandrake the magician today, he'd look in the hat and there'd be no rabbits there.
That's right.
He'd want to show the queen of spades, and up comes the deuce of diamonds. Everything Craig has tried today has backfired. I mean, everything. And the Mets finally take the lead for the first time in this ball game on a pinch hit, 2 RBI single by Mackey Sasser.
So David Cohn on the winning side, and he's happy about that.
You see those eyes?
He gave up 4 runs and 11 hits and was helped out considerably by everything the Giants did wrong.
David saying this is like finding a wallet full of money. What's going on? Most expressive eyes on the ball club.
So Tommy Herr with a 1-strike count, and that pitch way outside, and the count 1-1. Thurman, a veteran of many years in baseball, signed originally by the Padres, traded to Detroit and then to Baltimore, granted his free agency, signed with Houston, then traded to San Francisco. And that pitch is fouled down, and the count 1-2 strikes. Thurman started the season at Tucson, was in 9 games there.
That was with only 8 home runs that year. 110 RBIs, only 8 home runs in that 1985 season for Tommy Herr.
So it's 1-2 to Tommy Herr, the switch hitter, hitting about the same from both sides of the plate. And this ball is popped up in foul territory. Will Clark drifting over by the stands. He has room, and he makes the catch. But the Mets send 9 men to the plate as they score 4 runs on 4 hits. And they leave 2, and the score at the end of 5. It's the Mets 6 and the Giants 4. Now here's a word from Nissan. New pitcher in the ball game for the Mets.
Wally's numbers, and David Cohn could win this game. Remarkably in trouble throughout all 5 innings. The Giants were 3 in the first, 1 in the 5th, and now David Cohn sees himself staked to a 6-4 lead.
And the batter is Ernest Riles, who was put in the ball game at shortstop when they made a pitching change. And Mackey Sasser, who was the pinch hitter that drove in 2 big runs to put the Mets up by a score of 6-4, stays in to catch. And the off-speed pitch by Whitehurst, the slow curveball in there for a called strike 2. Riles hitting .233 for the year with 7 home runs, 19 RBIs. 4 of his 7 home runs as a pinch hitter. Two strikes a count. Again, the curve. It's tapped right back to Whitehurst. 1 away.
Top of the 5th inning in Houston. The Pirates 2, the Astros nothing. John Smiley against Danny Darwin. And in the 8th inning, the Toronto Blue Jays over in the junior circuit there at Cleveland. And Dave Steve, we understand, has a no-hitter through 7.
Again? Another
flirtation.
He lost 2 no-hitters with 2 out in the 9th inning.
I think 3.
Maybe 3 now.
Yeah. All of those were 1-hitters. Turned out to be 1-hitters. Maybe the 4th time's a charm.
Wasn't it 2 in a row? Wasn't
it? 2 in a row.
That's
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Back-to-back 1-hitters and 2 outs in the 9th and losing both of them. And that pitch in there for a called strike. Strike 1 to Brett Butler, who has been on twice as a result of a walk and a base hit. He also was on base on a force play and had a stolen base after forcing a runner at second base. And that pitch in there for called strike 2, 2 strikes. Steve's 16-5 on the year. He's having a great year for Toronto, but Toronto, after that disastrous series with the Boston Red Sox, shut out 3 straight games. Now trailing the Red Sox by 6.5 games. The Red Sox have won 9 in a row, and they play the Yankees tonight. This one top foul. The count stays at strike 2. Mets scoring 4 runs in the bottom half of the 5th to take the lead 6-4. They've still been out hit by the Giants 11-7. David Cohn on the winning side of this ball game came in with a record of 10-7. And now the pitch to Butler just outside, 1-2. Whitehurst with a record of 1-0. He has 2 saves. Butler in this series with 7 hits and 15 at bats, and the curve is in the dirt, 2-2. Good crowd here today. 43,686 paid, 45,188 in the house. And the fastball fouled off, so the count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Almost a sellout here today, and a beautiful day for baseball. And I guess you could say a beautiful day for tennis, which is going on next door.
I think it's worth repeating a comedian in New York and a good buddy, Bill Sheff's line about the U.S. Open about 200 yards from here.
Again, a foul ball.
Bill's line, he was always amazed at why people who go to tennis tournaments and tennis games dress in tennis outfits. You know, it's like, you know, if McEnroe gets hurt and says, Paul, you want to come down here and finish this set? You can use other sports as an example. What if a guy was a fan of, for instance, Carlton Fisk and came to a park?
Have a mask and a chest protector?
Yeah, chest protector, shin guards, taking his family in.
How about a hockey goaltender?
Yeah, right. Or a fan of Jim Burt, who's now with the nose guard of the 49ers, wearing shoulder pads in a stadium.
That is true. They all go there with their tennis outfit on and their tennis rackets.
Exactly.
Like they're going to play.
Quite figured that out. And neither is Bill, evidently. There, hey, look at there. But he doesn't have a chest protector on.
No, or a mask.
Or shin guards.
Again, the ball hit foul. Bill, graduate of Deerfield Academy up in Massachusetts.
And Harvard.
All that money spent, he went to those 2 great schools, and he turns out to be a comedian. Mother and Dad have got to be very unhappy.
That's what Bill says. Well, this is thousands of dollars well spent, right?
2-2 the count, and Butler this time hits it hard and by. Tommy Herr continues to get on base, 3rd time in this game, and that puts the tying run at the plate.
Right fielder, Mike Kingery.
Looks like an old umpire.
You might be a fan of Eric Gregg, 3rd base umpire. Probably got his chest protector in the bag because Eric's at 3rd base today.
So a runner on, and that puts a time run at the plate. Mike Kingery is the batter. He has doubled in 3 at-bats, also has scored. Giants got off to a 3-0 lead. The Mets got 1 back in the 1st, throw to first base. And Mets got another back in the 3rd, and then the Giants added one on in the 5th and led by a score of 4-2, but the Mets with 4 in the bottom half of the 5th to take the lead 6-4. Steve now with a no-hitter through 8 innings.
Already been 8 no-hitters thrown this year.
And Kingery takes that pitch for a ball. That's 1-0. All-time record for no-hitters in a single season, 8. Another fan.
Fan appreciation.
And again, a toss to first base. Butler with a stolen base in the 2nd inning now has 38 out of 53 for the year. This has been a summer day type baseball game.
Now that's a fan's fan right there.
Again, a throw to first, and it's almost a pickoff. Butler was picked off at 2nd. A big base running mistake back in the 2nd inning. Almost picked off again.
Had that throw been a little lower, they might nail Brett. Giants trailing by 2. This has been a very strange ball game from the base paths.
Butler picked off at 2nd with runners at 1st and 2nd, and Kevin Mitchell at the plate that ended the inning. That was back in the 2nd. And this one again close. He's out. So Butler picked off for the 2nd time in this ball game. And again, the Giants can do nothing right.
Wow. 2nd time in the game, Butler's been picked off, and Whitehurst nails him.
You said the throw had to be a little lower.
Yeah, and he did. He threw it a little lower. I mean, this is a strike.
So now the runner off the bases, and the time run is not at the plate anymore. And that pitch a ball, and it's 2 balls and no strikes.
Say the Giants better hope to win this game with solo homers. Every time somebody gets on, there's an out made.
Watched up squeeze play, 2 pickoffs on the bases, another base hit for Kingery. And again, the time runs at the plate, and this time it's Will Clark. Giants have had base hits in every inning. They now have 13 in the ball game, trailing 6-4. The Mets have 7 hits. Clark has been on twice. He has walked twice. He also has grounded out. So Kingery on at first base, and he has a pretty good lead. And the pitch to the plate to Clark, a called strike as the fastball is through at the knees.
Jay Harwitz tells us that that was the 11th pickoff. So pickoffs by the pitchers this year have soared to 11 in this game. Very unusual. You get the same guy twice in one game.
1 strike pitch to Clark, a ball, 1 ball, 1 strike. I think Ojeda had a pickoff in 3 straight ball games at first.
There's Jay to the left of your screen. Rick Law is his assistant.
One and one the count to Clark, and the pitch is hit in the air to center field. Boston with time to get under this one. That ends the inning. So 2 hits, 1 left. And the score at the end of 5.5 innings. The Mets 6 and the Giants 4. Now here's a word from Nike.
Fans, after every game this season, points will be awarded to Met pitchers for the AT&T Long Distance Award. I know you're familiar with how it works. For every inning pitched, you get a point. We'll also add in the fractions. If a pitcher is credited with a complete game, he gets a bonus point. And at the end of the season, the man on top will win the AT&T Long Distance Award. What else can happen to Roger Craig's troops today?
Well, Roger once again stopping by at home plate to talk to Jerry Crawford, the home plate umpire, now going out to check on Mark Thurman, and evidently it's about his arm. As Craig said, we're not too sure if he's all right. Thurman came in the ball game in relief of Francisco Olivares, and evidently Thurman is all right. Why couldn't he have asked Thurman that on the bench before he went out?
Maybe when he went out there, something acted up or something, as you see Mark Dewey. Now, that's a good point, though. I don't know.
Today in Cleveland, due up in the ninth for the Indians, Tom Brookins, Joel Skinner, and Alex Cole. And Dave Steve is working on a no-hit, no-run game in that game.
And that Alex Cole, you would think, would have a chance of breaking it up because of his speed. He has taken Cleveland by storm, coming over from the Cardinal organization.
And Tuffle hits it hard again, right down the left field line. It'll be extra bases. And Tuffle, who homered his last time up, continues to pound on the ball as he leads off with a double here in the 6th inning.
Well, Tommy Herr, not the only guy who is happy being with the Mets. I think all the Met players are happy being with the Mets now. Tim Tuffle with another double. Everybody's chipping in, and this club coming off that road trip last Sunday night. They lost 3 out of 4 to the Dodgers, and boys, it turned around for them on this homestand.
Mets with the best home record in baseball. They have won 45 and lost 22. They have won 6 straight home games and 31 of their last 41 games here at Shea Stadium. So they like the home cooking as Greg Jeffries takes the first pitch for ball 1. Jeffries with a double his last time up has 2 doubles in this game and 3 at bats. He leads the National League in doubles with 37. And the 1-0 pitch, a strike, and it's 1-1. Tuffle led off the 5th inning to put the Mets within 1 of San Francisco with his home run, 5th of the year. Jeffries doubled and then scored the tying run. This ball pulled foul. 1-2. Jeffries scored the tying run after Strawberry's base hit went through between the shortstop and the second baseman, and the shortstop playing on the second base side. 3 home runs, 3 doubles, 3 singles, his last 9 base hits for Tuffle, as he is on at second base with Jeffries hitting. 1-2 pitch, slow curve, and 2-2. There's Strawberry on deck. He's had a great series against the Giants. .47 multiple hit games. He leads the Mets in that department. That includes today. Almost went for the fastball, but takes it. And the count 3-2. Jeffries with 47 multiple hit games. The leader, Willie McGee, who had 53 before he was traded to Oakland. Jeffries now hitting .299 for the year. 3-2 pitch, and it's fouled back out of play. Cincinnati leading Chicago 5-1 in the top of the 6th. If Cincinnati wins and the Giants lose today, it could be all over for the Giants. That would put them 10.5 games out. This one is popped up into shallow left field. Kevin Mitchell, the left fielder. 1 away, and Tuffle back to second. The Dodgers are killing Montreal. They're leading 12-5 in the top of the 7th. So Dodgers starting their action 6.5 games back of the Cincinnati Reds. They're still in it. So Thurman picking up his first out here in the 6th, and that'll bring up Darryl Strawberry. Darryl 1 for 3 today, 7 for 15 in this series with a grand slam home run, a 2-run home run. And he drove in the tying run of this game. Darryl hitting .281, 30 home runs, 89 runs batted in. Fastball grounded to Clark at first. He fights it off, knocks it down, gets the out at first base as Thurman takes the call. Takes the throw and gets the call. And on the play, Tuffle goes over to third.
Will Clark almost took too much time with Darryl running hard all the way. This ball, that wicket in between hop. Clark keeps it in front of him. And now very deliberate going to first and just gets it. Just gets it.
That'll bring up Kevin McReynolds. McReynolds with a home run in the 3rd. Is 1 for 1 in this game with a walk and a sacrifice. Now has 19 home runs in the year with 67 RBIs, hitting .259. And that pitch way outside for ball 1. Mets leading 6-4. Runner at third. We're in the bottom half of the 6th inning. And a strike call, 1-1. McReynolds' home run coming off a 3-1 fastball off the starter Paul McClellan. And another fastball on the count, 2-1. McClellan making his major league debut here. Lasting 4 innings, charged with 5 runs, and he is a pitcher of record in this game. And there's a ball grounded foul into the Giant dugout. Actually, I guess it's Olivares. No, it would be McClellan, the pitcher record on the losing side. Two and two. Big hole in the middle for McReynolds, and he goes down the right field side, fouls off a outside fastball. So the count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Shortstop way over in the hole against McReynolds. Bouncing ball up the middle would certainly go through. And the 2-2 once again, and the fastball a check swing, and it's fouled off. So the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Thurman, the 3rd pitcher used by Roger Craig, and again he goes for the 2-2 pitch, and it's fouled back out of play. So McReynolds fouling off 3 straight pitches. The count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Again, the 2-2 pitch, and it is hit hard into left field for a base hit. So McReynolds adds 1 on, and the Mets lead at 7-4.
Tuffle with his 3rd run of the day scored. He has also driven in 1, 2 for 3, a double, a home run. Late addition, playing for Dave Magadan. And he scores on this line drive to left by Kevin McReynolds. Reynolds has driven in RBIs number 67 and 8 on the year.
He has hit in 8 of his last 9 ball games. And now the batter is Howard Johnson. This one drilled into left center field for a base hit. McReynolds the third and holding there as Riles gets a relay and walks it back in. So Johnson with his first hit. And the Mets with runners at second and third and 2 men out. And the batter coming up is Darryl Boston.
This screwball by Thurman just sits there. And that's double number 32 for Johnson on the year. Hojo right up there among the leaders in Johnson. Jeffries with 2 today leads the National League with 37 doubles. Johnson now with 32.
And Darryl Boston the batter. Darryl 0 for 2. He has reached on the walk. They're going to walk Boston intentionally. The pitcher is due up next, Wally Whitehurst. So even though the left-hander is pitching to a left-hand batter, the intentional walk, and this time Roger might get away with it. Pitcher coming up next. His third intentional walk in this ball game.
Well, word from Cleveland, Dave Stieb finally did it. He pitched a no-hitter, the 9th no-hitter of the season, and the first of his career. His record now 17 and flat 5, but Ralph, after flirting with those no-hitters all those times, 3.
Wonder what he was thinking with 2 men out of the 9th inning this time.
And Alex Cole, the batter. We think Cole was sitting with 2 out and nobody on. Wow. So congratulations to Dave Stieb pitching the 9th no-hitter of the 1990 baseball season. That is remarkable. About that, first in Toronto history.
No Mets pitcher has ever pitched a no-hit, no-run game. And the first pitch to Whitehurst will be popped up, and it will be caught by Thompson at second base, and he makes the catch, and that retires the side. So that time the strategy worked. Mets do get 1 run on 3 hits. They leave 3, and the score at the end of 6. It's the Mets 7 and the Giants 4, and here's a word from Dodge.
Good day. I guess you could look at the box score tomorrow morning and say, you know, Giants had a good offensive day, but they couldn't push any runs across. Well, their offensive day from the plate to the bases has been terrific. They have 13 hits, but the reason they have only 4 runs, they've had everything happen to them on the bases. Squeeze play that went awry. Robbie Thompson bunting through it. 2 pickoffs to Brett Butler. 2. 1 from second, 1 from first as Mitchell fouls it back. Mitchell and Matt Williams were running on a hit-and-run play. Terry Kennedy swung through it, and Mitchell was a dead duck at third base. They've had about everything in the world happen to them today on the bases. 7-4, Mets on top. Curveball fouled away. No balls, 2 strikes to Kevin Mitchell. Giants go to San Diego after this game to play the Padres a 2-game series before they head back to San Francisco on Wednesday to start an 8-game homestand. Ground ball, good play, Jeffries. Tough throw, safe at first. So an infield hit by Kevin Mitchell. Nice play by Jeffries, but couldn't recover in time to make the throw to get him.
It's amazing how fast you can run when you can smell that base hit. Jeffries making an outstanding throw over there, but just not in time. As Tuffle took the throw at first. Momentum takes him about 1 step too far. He puts the glasses up to see if he got it.
Now Matt Williams will be the batter. Williams 3 for 3 on the afternoon with an RBI. He was caught stealing also. Fouled away. New Firewood.
Second bat he's broken in this game.
Pirates winning 5-0 down in Houston. That game in the bottom of the 6th inning. Guess that song would be appropriate. Mets singing to the Pirates, or the Pirates to the Mets. See you in September. Those teams meet 8 more times, 6 times in Pittsburgh and twice here at Shea. 1-1 to Williams.
Last 3 games of the season are scheduled in Pittsburgh with the Mets there. There were 3 games that did not get played because of the lockout. They were tacked on at the end of the season. Mets go in to play Pittsburgh a 3-game series in 2 days after they play the St. Louis Cardinals 2 games. Doubleheader with the Pirates next week.
Curve and a beauty. A ball and 2 strikes to Williams.
This is that big, slow, rolling curveball, and Matt Williams all jacked up to hit the fastball, and he's way over. Too far out in front.
Another curve hit hard down the left field line, base hit. McReynolds up with it, but the Giants now with runners at 2nd and 3rd, nobody out, and you talk about adjusting. That's what Williams did on that curveball.
Well, after missing that first slow curveball, he stays back on this one and hits a very tough pitch and doubles down the left field line. So the Giants now have the time run at the plate, and they pick up another hit. They have 15 in this game.
But only 4 runs so far. The Mets obviously playing their infield back. And Ron Darling is up and throwing for the Mets in their bullpen now. Cone went 5 innings. He gave up only 4 runs. But 11 hits, and the curve to Kennedy's a strike. Foul tip off Sasser's chest protector as you look at Ron Darling. 7-4, Mets on top. We're in the 7th. The Giants, however, with runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. No balls, 1 strike to Terry Kennedy. Another curve is low, 1-1. Now Alejandro Pena has joined Darling. Here's Alejandro. Foul down the left field line. 1 and 2 to Terry Kennedy. Kennedy's had a good day. 2 for 3, single, double, and an RBI. Giants have stranded runners in every inning, stranding 8 on the day. The Mets, on the other hand, have stranded 10. A day for the hitters. Ball 2, 2 and 2.
Base hits.
And we're only in the 7th inning. Line to left, base hit. 1 run scores. Williams will be held at 3rd base. It's now a 7-5 ball game as Mitchell scores. Kennedy with his third hit and second RBI of the day. And the batter coming up, Robbie Thompson.
Well, Kennedy just wears out the Mets. He came into this game with a .294 lifetime average. And he picks up his third hit of the ball game, his second run batted in.
And a pinch runner now for Kennedy. It's going to be Scott Gereltz, who was scratched from today's start because of a sore shoulder. Fine day for Terry Kennedy.
Number 50, Scott Gereltz.
And we'll see what Buddy Harrelson is going to do. Gary Carter will be getting a bat. Going to be Greg Litton as the pinch hitter for Robbie Thompson. So one would assume that Thompson is hurt.
It's strange to take him out of here.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention is batting for Robbie Thompson, number
Gary Carter comes up to the on-deck circle. And here comes Buddy Harrelson. He's saying Darling, the pitcher closest to him, and it's Ron Darling who'll come in the game. So Darling, the third Met pitcher, had more runners in this game than an old set of hose.
Just out of the ball game, giving up 3 consecutive hits here in the 7th without getting anyone out, and it'll be up to Ron Darling to get the Mets out of this jam. He has a record of 5-9 and an earned run average of 4.66. He's walked 36, struck out 90, given up 117 hits and 106 in the 3rd innings. He was in yesterday's ball game.
And the Astros, Ralph, the Astros trying to come back on the Pirates. They've already scored 3 times in the bottom of the 6th. Now the Pittsburgh lead is cut to 5-3. Here at Shea, Greg Litton, the pinch hitter for Robbie Thompson. Strike 1 to Litton. Litton started the first 2 games of this series, was in yesterday's game. Utility player. He started 2 games in right field. Still nobody out for the Giants here in the 7th. Curve is high, ball 1, 1-1.
Darling worked 1/3 of an inning in yesterday's ball game and was the victim of Greg Jeffries' indecision and bad judgment. He got what he wanted, a perfect double play ball, and Jeffries threw home and threw the ball away.
Williams at third base. Scott Gereltz at first base. Pinch running for Terry Kennedy. I wonder if Greg's thinking about that right now, that play yesterday. Ball hit to him.
He said he'd do it again. He'd throw home again in a spot like this. But it is not the right play. You got to go for the double play, and they would have been out of the inning.
With 1 out and runners at first and third on a 1-hopper to you, if you're the third baseman, you got a 2-run lead. If you do it again, then those instructions about doing it again are misdirected. Tapper toward third. Jeffries will go to first. What a play by Tuffle. Oh, my goodness.
This play is unbelievable. Terrible throw by Jeffries, and it's a half-hop play at first, and you can only do one thing. Make a swipe at it and hope you're lucky. And that's exactly what Tuffle did, and he came up with it and saved Jeffries a big error.
Ladies and gentlemen, batting for
And this could have been
the
disastrous. Look at this catch by Tuffle now.
Gary Carter.
Oh, that's a good play.
It sure is. A backhanded in-between hop catch by Tim Tuffle as Matt Williams scores on the play. So it's now a 7-6 ball game. Potential tying run at second, And a terrific play by Tuffle, or it would have been worse. Gary Carter now, the pinch hitter for the pitcher, Mark Thurman. Line drive, Jeffries over to Herr covering, but Herr dropped the ball, but even had he held on, there's no way to get Goreltz. 2 outs.
Soft line drive as Carter breaks his bat.
Shortstop number 1.
And it's right at Jeffries. The throw to Herr is not held on to, and Gorelt's able to get back. The runner at second base. So now the Mets pick up another big out, and they have a chance to get out of this.
Ernest Riles will be the batter. Ernest 0 for 1 since entering the game in the 6th inning. 2 outs now. Outside, ball 1. Bobby Ojeda now up and throwing for the Mets with Brett Butler on deck. There's Bobby as Pena has stopped to watch. Ball 2, 2-0 to Riles. The Butler waits on deck. Splitter is outside. 3-0 to Ernie Riles. Riles may be hitting. And it was the splitter. 3-1 to Riles.
Riles earlier this year with a grand slam home run off Doc Gooden. The only grand slam home run ever given up by Gooden in his major league career. That was in San Francisco. He was going for the fastball and didn't get it.
Fastball was low, so Riles walks. That puts runners at first and second, 2 outs. The Mets still leading remarkably 7-6. And Darling will be allowed to work to Brett Butler. Greg Pavlik, the bullpen coach for the Mets, probably saying that both his pitchers are ready. Brett Butler, the batter. He is 2 for 3. He has been picked off twice. He has stolen a base and scored a run. Goreltz pinch running for Kennedy at second base, and Ernest Riles at first. Ball 1.
Today in Houston, top of the 7th, the Pirates 7, the Astros 3. Pirates a half game back of the Mets.
Mets only, I should say, the Pirates are 1 game back in the loss column. And it's 2 balls and no strikes to Brett Butler. I think Mike Cubbage moving Darryl Boston over for the count. Counts 2 balls, no strikes. Good play right there. You could see Boston drifting back towards straightaway center because Butler's more inclined to pull the ball with a count 2-0. And he does pull it. Tommy Herr to Tuffle for the 3rd out. The Giants scored twice. It's 7-6 Mets, middle of the 7th, as you see on our General Electric line score. And we'll return right after this message. Staying in the game, there's Gary. Greg Litton is at second base. And that's it. And Sasser pops it up. Williams at third. 1 out. Sasser had a pinch 2 RBI single to break the 4-4 tie in the 5th inning. And here's Mark Dewey in his numbers.
He's 0-0 in the year with no saves, and he's walked 1, struck out 5, given up 7 hits in 6 in the 3rd innings. Pitched in the ball game in this series, went 2 in the 3rd innings, gave up no runs on 1 hit.
There's Greg Litton, and Tommy Herr takes a ball in the dirt. A fine play to throw out Brett Butler to end the 7th by Herr. Still 7-6 Mets. Drive, and Mitchell makes the play. 2 quick outs here in the 7th inning, and that'll bring up Tim Tuffle, who has had quite a day. I'm sure, Ralph, the Mets are hoping that when they get up tomorrow morning, that the headlines will not be the same as the headlines in the 1948 Chicago Tribune.
Dewey wins.
Dewey wins. You got it, baby. Mark Dewey, the 4th Giant pitcher. Obviously, Harry Truman won that election and served another term. Ball 1 to Tuffle. Ball and no strikes to Timmy Tuffle. Double, home run, 3 runs scored. Fans at the bottom of the 7th. The lucky fan could win $100 and a chance for a $10,000 bonus from Budweiser as the designated Bud batter. Stay tuned to Kiner's Corner for details. Grabbing the evening version of Kiner's Corner.
It's going to be late afternoon for sure.
Slider in there for a strike. 1 and 2 to Tuffle.
This game is 3 hours long right now. We're in the 7th inning.
A lot of base runners. It has not been a pitcher's afternoon today. Still 1 and 2.
Well, it has been that kind of a batter's day with a big bat standing out for both sides. Giants with 16 hits, the Mets with 10.
Still a ball and 2 strikes to Tim Tuffle. 7-6 Mets. 16 hits for the Giants, 10 for the Mets. Still 1 and 2. Mets travel to St. Louis after the game today, play a day game tomorrow in St. Louis, Tuesday night game, as Tuffle goes down on strikes, and for this inning, Dewey did. Top of the 8th inning, Ron Darling still in there, and maybe strategically, you're saying, well, Bud Harrelson with 2 lefties coming up, maybe you ought to bring in the left-hander Ojeda. He was warming up the last inning, but maybe Buddy is thinking, we took a start away from Darling with Valera starting yesterday. Maybe we'll give him a chance to pitch his way back into good graces. Here's Kingery, and he lines one up the middle. Base hit.
Checking out the Nissan National League scoreboard, Cincinnati leading Chicago 6-1 in the bottom of the 7th inning. San Diego 9-1 over Philadelphia. That's a final. Pittsburgh 7, Houston 4, bottom of the 7th. The Dodgers 12, Montreal 5. That ball game from the bottom of the 9th inning, and Atlanta 3, St. Louis nothing, bottom half of the 8th.
And Will Clark, the batter, he is hitless on the afternoon. He has 2 home runs and 17 RBIs since the All-Star break. 2. That is staggering for a guy who was second in the National League in hitting last year. So he is way overdue against a pitcher who has not only struggled, but has been knocked out of the starting rotation by a 21-year-old right-hander.
You're talking about the thinking that might be going through Bud Harrelson's mind, but sentiment does not play a part in a pennant race.
All I'm doing is saying what may be going through his mind. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Matter of fact, if I had to say, I'd say it was wrong. Not because Kingery got a hit, but this is a bad matchup right here. Clark against Darling, who's been struggling. But I just figure that's what Buddy's got to be thinking in this situation. You got 2 lefties coming up. Ojeda is ready. They set Ojeda back down in the bullpen. The Mets leading by a tenuous run. It's a ball and no strikes to Clark.
And you might be wondering why Franco would not be brought in this spot. But Franco worked over 1 inning yesterday to pick up his 31st save. They don't want to use him normally more than 1 inning.
Clark went too far. 1-1 to Will.
Franco went 1 2/3 yesterday to get that save. He would probably be in the ball game if this were the 9th inning.
Ron Darling comically yesterday saying that the Mets are probably paying $3 million to 2 setup men, he and Bobby Ojeda. So it's 1-1 to Clark. Kingery with good speed at first base. He has 5 stolen bases. Inside, ball 2. 2 balls and a strike. It's like the same game in Houston. 7-5 now. Pittsburgh over Houston. Little jam shot. So Clark, I don't think I've ever seen Will Clark look as bad as he has for the 4 games in this series.
Well, he's had a couple of hits. Actually, he's had 3 hits. He's been up 14 times, but he has not hit a ball really hard in the entire series, entire 4 games. He's having an off year. Even though his numbers are not too bad, but in the clutch situations such as this, he hasn't been able to pull it off. And now Bud Harrelson going out to the mound. And with the right-hander coming up, Kevin Mitchell, he's going to bring in the right-hander, Alejandro Pena.
So much for sentiment.
No sentiment there.
Nope.
There's no place for it in a pennant race. And it's hard to say that because you like to think of it as being a sport, but there was a guy that said nice guys finish last.
And he finished last his share of times, too, Leo DeRocher. Anyway, after all of this is said and done, Darling pitches. There's 1 out here in the 8th inning. Still 7-6 Mets. Kingery's at first. We'll be back after this from Manufacturers Hanover.
Well, a new pitcher for the Mets, Alejandro Pena, with a record of 2-3. He has 3 saves, an earned run average of 4.97, 21 walks, 56 strikeouts. He's given up 60 hits in 59 innings, and he'll have the tough chore pitching to Kevin Mitchell, and also behind him, Matt Williams. 2 strong right-handed batters. Darling giving up 1 hit and 1 walk.
Actually pitched well, didn't he?
In 1 1/3 innings, and did a good job coming in to bail out Wally Whitehurst. Got Litton to ground out, Carter to hit a soft liner, and then after walking Ernest Riles, and that might have been the smart move, getting Brett Butler out on the ground ball. But Tommy Herr turned to fine play.
So Kevin Mitchell, the batter, he is 3 for 4, a couple of RBIs with the bases loaded in the first inning, an inning in which the Giants scored 3 times. The Mets have battled back. They lead 7-6. 17 hits by the Giants today. The most, ties the most that the Mets have yielded this season in any one game. They've done it 3 times. Phenia does have a problem holding runners close. Got that slow, deliberate move toward home. Very dangerous batter at the plate, Kevin Mitchell.
I don't think anybody wants to get picked off for the 3rd time. If you're a Giant, might not get on the plane.
The Giants lose this game with as many opportunities as they've had. Boy, it will be take a week to get to San Diego tonight. And this one fouled back right below us, 0-1. If, on the other hand, Pittsburgh finds out how poorly the Giants have played and have that tape run on their plane, they're liable to head west and attack San Diego. I mean, this has really been a poor game. Pittsburgh probably thinking, if they saw a tape of this game, hey, guys, you're messing with our money, right? Base running mistakes and running into outs all afternoon.
Missed squeeze play, missed hit and run play, all backfiring. The only thing that worked was an intentional walk. It really didn't mean much.
Well, they intentionally walked Magadan, and Sasser came up with the bases loaded, and he got a hit against the left-hander.
Then they walked Boston intentionally and finally got Whitehurst, the pitcher, out. That was a big one there. But the walk to get the Sasser backfired.
Man. Mitchell fouls it back. So it's a ball and 2 strikes to Kevin Mitchell. And that Williams on deck. Choose your poison. Williams is 4 for 4 on the afternoon. Mitchell 3 for 4. So they're 7 for 8 between them.
The only good news is they got Kennedy out of the ball game. He was 3 for 4.
Tight. Ball 2, 2-2.
Just watching Sasser there and thinking about Sasser with that little lollipop throwback to the pitcher, and that Butler, if he were on, would be taking advantage of that.
Giants have done that twice this year. Will Clark and Butler. Ground ball is short. It could be 2. Bobble by Johnson. The throw back to first, not in time. That bobble cost them a double play, but they did get the lead runner. 2 outs.
Well, they got one of the outs they needed, but they surely could have used the double play, because you still have a chance for the Giants to take the lead with Williams coming up next. Ball out of the glove of Johnson. He does get the force play. Herr tries for the double play, but couldn't do it against Mitchell. So now you got to contend with Matt Williams,
who is 4 for 4, 3 singles, a double, an RBI and a run scored. and he has 27 home runs on the year. And properly, Jeffrey's on the line at third. Slider hit the left field and deep, but playable. And did he ever just miss that one? Ralph Kiner turned to me, a huge sigh of relief, and a whew.
Man, did he get away with one there.
After 7.5, it's still 7-6 Mets. We're back after this from your Tri-State Lincoln Mercury dealers. Off the Mets looking for some insurance. They lead 7-6, and boy, this one laced to right field by Jeffries. Greg's third hit of the afternoon.
Well, Mets memories are brought to you by The Wiz. June 14th, 1980. Bottom of the ninth, 2 out, 2 on. Mets 4, Giants 6. The Mets score 5 runs in the ninth, including this game-winning homer by Steve Henderson off of Alan Ripley. Final score, the Mets 7, the Giants 6. And remember, nobody beats The Wiz.
Fastball to Strawberry. That was a period in which the Met franchise was really floundering. That 1980 season, but boy, not since 1984. They've been in contention every year since. Outside, ball 2, 2-0. The type of pitcher that Strawberry hammers is 60 feet 6 inches away. It's ball 3. Sure, Carter knows that. Mark Dewey on the mound. Strawberry does not like to hit 3-0. We'll see. And he takes a fastball for a strike. 3-1 to Darrell.
A lot of hitters don't like to give themselves that 3-0 chance. They just get over anxious and swing too hard. I've never understood that.
There goes Jeffries. Fastball is high, so it's ball 4, and Strawberry walks. The Mets with runners at first and second, and nobody out.
Left fielder Kevin McCarver.
Well, the Mets get their 7th walk, and they have runners at first and second with no one out. They have had 18 men on base, and Jeffries might have hurt himself a little bit when he made that slide.
Tom O'Malley will probably go in for defense for Greg in the 9th inning anyway. I'm sure if Buddy knows the extent of his injury, he may use a pinch runner here. Chuck Hiller, the third base coach, talking to McReynolds. Now remember, the Giants do not have another left-hander in their bullpen. So you got Johnson and Boston coming up. You may see a sacrifice here. And it's punted down the third base line. Dewey to third. No, he doesn't. A bunt base hit for McReynolds.
Well, this is a strange play here. McReynolds makes a good bunt. It's a little bit hard. Dewey coming off the mound gets to it, and he's thinking third base. I don't know if he even thought about first, but Matt Williams, the third baseman, is about 3 steps off the bag. So they can't get the force play at third because Williams, who was starting in, now goes back but doesn't get back to the bag. So the bunt base hit loads up the bases.
Howard Johnson now. This one hit deep to right center field. Off the wall. 1-run scores. Strawberry. McReynolds. 10-6 Mets.
with a big two-base hit. 3 insurance runs. The Mets now lead 10-6. And Howard Johnson comes up with this big double here, his second consecutive double. And the Mets with a 4-run lead.
Boston now. And he fouls it away. 0-1 to Darrell Boston, who on the afternoon has walked twice, once intentionally, has struck out and flied to left. 0 for 2. Ball 1-1. Greg Jeffries may have been spiked down there. He may have spiked himself. This one hit sharply. Good play by Clark. And he takes it himself. Fine play by Will Clark, the first baseman. And that's going to bring up Tom O'Malley. Or is it? No, O'Malley was on deck. And Alejandro Pena is going to bat for himself. Giant infield is in. They have to be alive for a squeeze with Johnson at third base and 1 out. Foul away. Carter giving chase, but it's 0-1 to Pena.
Second time that Pena has hit in this series. He was safe on an error his other time at bat in this series. He started his career as an infielder. He's not a bad hitter.
If you chose an author to write about this game, a capsule report about the Giants in this game, it would have to be Stephen King. Tapper towards short. Riles to Clark, 2 outs. If it were a poem, Edgar Allan Poe would have to write it. I mean, this has been a horrible day for the Giants. They have done everything you could do wrong. And it has been a team effort.
Well, Roger Craig seeing his chances for the pennant really go down the drain in this 4-game series with the Mets. Chance to lose all 4 ball games, and with Cincinnati winning and the Giants, if they lose today, dropping to 10.5 games out.
Mackey Sasser now. Fouls one away, 0-1. Maybe you could have a sequel to Bernard Malamud's first novel and call this game The Unnatural. Not exactly the way you play the game. Giants, their base running's been terrible. The play by Dewey at third, 2 pickoffs of Brett Butler, the intentional walk to Dave Magadan. Sasser came through with the big hit that broke the tie. And another drive down the right field line, but Kingery's there to make the catch. But the Mets strike for 3 big ones. On only 3 hits, they strand Johnson, but lead 10-6 after 8. We'll be back after this from Federal Express. Greg Jeffries. So Jeffries out of there. Greg with a terrific day. 3 hits, 2 doubles, and a single. 30 hits in this ball game. And Bill Bathe will be the pinch hitter for Mark Dewey. Bathe with an RBI pinch hit in yesterday's ball game. 10-6, Mets on top here in the 9th. Strike 1 from Pena. It has been a disastrous 4 days for Roger Craig. One and two to Bay. There was a play on Broadway, Ralph, I don't know if you remember it or not, called Into the Woods, the music written by Stephen Sondheim. There's a song called No More in that play. And one of the stanzas was no more Giants waging war. And I guess after today, the Giants will not be waging war against the Mets unless they can pull a miracle to reach postseason play. Reds won their ball game. The Giants would fall behind 10.5 unless they can score at least 4 here in the 9th inning. They have gone into the woods today, I'll tell you that. 30 hits, 17 for San Francisco, 13 for the Mets. Grounder, good play, Pena.
Final game between the Mets and Giants this year. If the Mets win this game, they will win the season series by a score of 7-5, winning 7 of the 12 ball games played.
And it's a strike to Greg Litton, who pinch hit for Robbie Thompson. Greg is 0 for 1. Curve grounded to short. Bad hop fielded by Johnson to get him. 2 outs. If you want to find out what the score of the Pittsburgh-Houston game is, you got to tune into Kiner's Corner this afternoon. Ralph will have all the highlights. And we just get a note that if the Mets can hang on, and they appear to be able to, it'll be the first 4-game sweep of the San Francisco Giants ever in the club's history. They were 6-0 in 1984 here at Shea Stadium against the Giants, but they played 2 3-game series. So they never swept the Giants 4 in a row in the history of the Mets. It's 2 balls, no strikes to Carter. Two and 1 to Gary. Three balls and a strike to Gary Carter. Up left side over near the stands, O'Malley, but it's about 15 rows back. So 3-2 to Gary Carter. Who knows? People thought that it was Gary Carter's last at bat last year here at Shea Stadium. I wonder how many think it's Gary Carter's last at bat this year at Shea Stadium. This one fouled back right above us. Gary, after a fast start, has settled in at the 250 level. Well, the Mets have out-hit or outscored the Giants 32-16, even though they have the same amount of hits in this series. Tapper foul. Still 3-2. 3-2 to Carter. Fly ball center field, and that should do it. Boston racing over, and he makes the play. So Alejandro Pena picking up his 5th save of the year. He was perfect through an inning and 2/3. And the win going to David Cone. Cone now 11-7. The loser in his first big league start was Paul McClellan. I beg your pardon, Francisco Olivares loses the ball game. So McClellan not the loser in the game. 10-13-0. The first time the Mets have ever swept the Giants in a 4-game series. The Mets will at least be a half a game in front of the Pirates. That game is not completed yet in Houston. And we'll be back for the wrap-up. Kiner's Corner to follow right after this from your Chevrolet dealers.